Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Quick question before we dive into today's story. Have you ever experienced betrayal in a relationship? Or maybe known someone who has? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to read them. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the story. I always had this gut feeling she was cheating. The crazy part? She never had the slightest idea that I knew. That secret lived in my head the entire time we were together. And in a way, it gave me power. Power she didn't even realize I had. Let me back up. A while ago, I met this girl. Things escalated between us quickly. Faster than I expected. She had that energy that just pulled me in. The late-night conversations, the way she laughed at my jokes even when they weren't funny, the kind of attention that makes you feel like you're the only person in the room. It didn't take long before I admitted how I felt. I told her point blank, "I like you. And I'm not here to waste time. I'm looking for something serious. I want marriage someday." She smiled, almost shyly, and said we should take it slow. That we should just get to know each other first. I thought that was fair. Honestly, I admired her for saying that instead of jumping into something she wasn't ready for. The beginning was good. Really good. I even met her mom a few times, and she loved me. That felt like a green light. That maybe this was going somewhere real. But the more time I spent with her, the more cracks I began to notice. She was complicated, full of contradictions. She'd tell me one thing one day, then act like it didn't matter the next. Sometimes it felt like I was dating two different people. But I didn't complain. I told myself relationships take patience, so I tried to be understanding, to support her. The one thing I couldn't ignore, though, was how much she talked about her ex. And not in a healthy, "I've moved on" way. No, she'd bring him up constantly. Always in a negative light. She'd say he was manipulative, selfish, that he treated her horribly. She'd roll her eyes whenever his name came up, and every story painted her as the victim. First, I believed her. Who wouldn't? But then I noticed how often he came up in conversations that had nothing to do with him. And then one day, something strange happened. We were walking together down the street when she suddenly froze and pointed out a car. "That looks like my ex's car," she said quickly, brushing it off as if it was nothing. But the way she said it stuck with me. It wasn't some flashy sports car you'd expect from a young single guy. No, it was a family car. The kind of car a married man drives. That detail lingered in my mind like a red flag waving in the wind. But I stayed silent. I let it go. Later that same day, we went to the mall together. Funny enough, one of my friends happened to see us there. I told him later that we were dating, and he was happy for me. Nothing unusual about that. But it was what happened next that started unraveling everything I thought I knew about her. A few days later, she told me she was going out with her friends. No problem, I wasn't the controlling type, so I told her to have fun. By pure coincidence, I ended up at that same mall with my buddy. He got there before me, and while I was still on the way, he texted me. The message read, "Bro, I think I just saw your girl with another guy." My stomach dropped. I tried to convince myself maybe he was mistaken. Maybe it was just someone who looked like her. But then, seconds later, another message came through. This time with photos. Clear photos. It was her. No question. And she wasn't with her friends. She was with him. I didn't react. I didn't call her. I didn't text her. I didn't even confront her when we saw each other later. I just played it cool. But in my head, everything had shifted. The relationship was already dead. I just hadn't told her yet. And that, right there, was the moment I realized I had two choices. Blow everything up immediately and confront her, or stay silent, observe, and let her think she was still in control. I chose silence. Because sometimes silence is the loudest weapon you can use. After that night at the mall, everything between us looked the same on the surface, but inside me it had already ended. I didn't see her as my girlfriend anymore. I saw her as a liar living in her own little world of secrets. The funny part? She had no clue. She still smiled at me, still texted me good morning, still acted like we were building something real. And I played along. I stopped arguing. I stopped questioning her late replies or her vague, going out with friends excuses. Instead, I watched, carefully. almost like a detective piecing together a puzzle. Every little detail told me more than she realized. She'd sometimes vanish for hours and come back with half-baked stories. I'd nod, smile, and act supportive. She thought she was fooling me, but in reality I was miles ahead of her. The one thing that really messed with me was how often her ex still popped up in conversation. I'd never seen someone so obsessed with someone they supposedly hated. She told me once that he completely destroyed her life, but then she'd slip up and mention a small detail about his day-to-day, like what kind of car he drove, what job he had, or even what his wife looked like. That's when it clicked for me. She wasn't over him. She was still in it. And if my suspicion was right, she wasn't just in it emotionally. She was physically still with him too. The pieces started falling into place. That family car she pointed out, that wasn't a coincidence. The way she would go quiet when I asked certain questions, not random. The random bursts of mood swings, they weren't just her being complicated. They were guilt. I remember one night in particular. She texted me saying she was going out with the girls. Something in me told me to check her social media. And sure enough, while she wasn't dumb enough to post anything herself, one of her friends posted a group picture. And there she was, smiling, but standing just far enough away from the group to make me suspicious. It was like she was present, but not really there. Later that same night, she didn't answer my calls. Not until hours later, when she sent me a text, "Sorry, fell asleep at my friend's place." I didn't even respond. I didn't need to. Inside, I was already done. The thing is, once you detach emotionally, the pain goes away. It's almost scary how quickly I went cold. I started imagining life without her. And instead of sadness, I felt relief. Like I had been carrying a heavy weight without realizing it. And finally, I was ready to set it down. But here's the twist. I didn't break up with her. I waited. I let her keep playing her little game. I let her believe she was in control. Because deep down, I wanted her to be the one who ended it. And about a month and a half later, she finally did. We were sitting together, and she gave me this rehearsed speech. "I don't feel the click anymore. I think we should go our separate ways." She even threw in a few excuses about being confused, needing space, all the usual cliches. I didn't flinch. I just looked at her, nodded, and said calmly, "I respect your decision. I wish you the best." Her face froze. She expected a fight. She expected me to beg, to question, to cry. Instead, I was ice cold. She had no idea I'd already detached weeks ago. No idea I knew everything. In that moment, I swear, the power shifted completely. She thought she was walking away on her terms, but really, I'd been the one pulling the strings all along. What she never knew, what she still doesn't know to this day, is that I'd already uncovered the truth. That mystery guy she was sneaking around with? Yeah. It was her ex. The same one she claimed ruined her life. And here's the kicker, he was married. So not only was she cheating on me, but she was helping him cheat on his wife. I kept that secret locked inside me. I never confronted her, never exposed her, never gave her the satisfaction of knowing I cared enough to call her out. Instead, I walked away in silence, letting her live with the illusion that she had fooled me. Because sometimes the cruelest revenge isn't screaming or fighting. It's indifference. It's letting them believe they got away with it, when in reality you already won. After she ended things, I thought that was it. Honestly, I felt relieved, like I'd just stepped out of a storm into calm weather. I didn't feel heartbreak the way people expect after a breakup. I felt free. Free from the lies, the contradictions, the constant weight of wondering what she was really doing when I wasn't around. But here's the thing about people like her, they never just disappear. They circle back. It started with small things. Random late-night texts. "Hey, how are you? Just thinking about you." Stuff I ignored at first. But then the messages became heavier. She started painting herself as the victim. "I can't believe how betrayed I feel. All guys are the same. Nobody ever really loves me." I had to laugh at the irony. She was the one who cheated. She was the one sneaking around with a married man. And now here she was crying about betrayal? It was like she rewrote the whole story in her head where she was the one who got hurt. I didn't engage. I didn't tell her what I knew, and that's what really drove her crazy. She wanted me to react, to ask questions, to give her the drama she fed off. But I gave her nothing. And the more silence I gave her, the more desperate she became. One night she called me crying. I could hear the shakiness in her voice. She said she felt broken, that she couldn't trust anyone anymore. She claimed she had finally realized how toxic her ex really was, how he'd used her and thrown her away. She wanted sympathy. She wanted me to be the shoulder she could cry on. But I wasn't that guy anymore. I let her talk. I let her pour out her sob story. And when she finished, I simply said, "I hope you heal. I really do." There was a pause. She expected me to say more, to offer comfort, to invite her back into my life. Instead, she got nothing but polite distance, and I could feel her frustration through the phone. Here's the truth. People like her thrive on attention, even negative attention. They need you to chase, to argue, to fight for their approval. The moment you stop playing, they lose control. And that's exactly what was happening. But it didn't stop there. A few weeks later, she asked to meet up as friends. Against my better judgment, I agreed. Not because I wanted her back, but because I wanted to see for myself just how far she'd fallen. When we met, she looked different. Tired. Drained. Like life had taken something out of her. She tried to act casual, tried to pretend she was fine. But you can't fake emptiness. It shows in the eyes. She told me she was seeing a therapist. That she was struggling with loneliness, with trust, with her own self-image. For the first time, I didn't see the manipulative, dramatic girl who thought she had all the power. I saw someone broken, someone lost. But even then, I didn't feel pity. I didn't feel anger. I felt nothing. And that's when it hit me. I had already healed. I had already moved on. While she was still stuck in the same cycle of lies and self-destruction, I had built something better for myself. It was almost poetic. The same silence I had chosen as revenge turned out to be my freedom. She'll never know I knew. She'll never know I saw through every lie. And maybe that's the part that haunts her most. The fact that she'll never really understand why I didn't fight for her, why I didn't beg, why I didn't try to win her back. Because deep down, I had already won. After that meeting, I realized something important. Closure doesn't always come in the form of answers. Sometimes closure is just indifference. It's not needing to prove anything, not needing them to admit the truth. And for me, that silence was enough. While she was still tangled in her own mess, I started focusing on myself. I hit the gym harder, worked longer hours on projects I cared about, spent more time with friends and family. For the first time in a long time, my mind was clear. No overthinking, no constant doubt, no nagging voice wondering if my partner was being honest. It felt like I'd finally stepped out of a cage I didn't even realize I was in. Meanwhile, every so often, she'd pop back into my life. Little messages, little attempts to reopen the door. Sometimes it was nostalgia. Remember when we went to that place? Other times it was pity. You're the only person who ever really understood me. But I knew the truth. She wasn't reaching out because she cared about me. She was reaching out because she couldn't stand the silence. Because deep down, she knew I had slipped out of her control. And the more I didn't react, the harder she tried. At one point, she even tried flipping the narrative completely. She told me she felt betrayed by me. Because I didn't fight for the relationship. Because I didn't show her I cared enough to fix things. Can you believe that? She cheated on me with a married man, and somehow I was the bad guy for walking away too easily. That's the kind of twisted logic she lived by. Always someone else's fault. Always the victim. I didn't argue. I didn't defend myself. I just said, I think we see things differently. And that was the end of it. The truth is, by then I didn't need her validation. I didn't need revenge. My life itself became the revenge. The fact that I was genuinely happy while she was stuck in the same destructive patterns. That was enough. And what really sealed it for me was running into her one last time, months later. I wasn't expecting it. We bumped into each other in public, and for a split second, I saw it in her eyes, the shock that I looked happy. Not bitter, not broken, not carrying any grudge. Just happy. She asked how I was doing, and I told her the truth. I'm in a good place. Better than ever. I could see the confusion in her face. Like she couldn't understand how someone she thought she had broken could be thriving without her. And that's when I realized she had never understood me at all. To her, relationships were battles of control, manipulation, and power. But to me, they were supposed to be about love, trust, and building something real. And when you play those games with someone who just wanted something genuine, you don't just lose them, you lose the chance to ever really know what peace feels like. That day, I walked away for the final time. No anger, no revenge, just freedom. Looking back now, I realized the greatest revenge I ever took was not revenge at all. It wasn't exposing her. It wasn't telling her mom what really happened. It wasn't blasting the truth to everyone who thought she was this sweet, innocent girl. It was silence. Silence made her wonder. Silence made her question. Silence forced her to live with the thought that maybe, just maybe, she never fooled me at all. And that's the kind of doubt that eats away at someone long after the relationship is over. Because here's the truth. She'll never know how much I saw, how much I figured out, how many lies I quietly caught. She'll never know I watched her betray not just me, but another woman, his wife, over and over again. She'll never know that the moment she thought she ended it, I had already ended it in my heart weeks earlier. She'll never know that she lost the game before she even knew I was playing. And me? I came out stronger, smarter, wiser. I learned the value of patience, of letting people reveal who they truly are instead of forcing the truth out of them. I learned that you don't always need a dramatic confrontation to win. Sometimes walking away with your peace intact is the most powerful move you can make. Even now, every once in a while, she'll cross my mind. Not with bitterness, not with anger, but as a reminder of who I'll never allow into my life again. A reminder of how far I've come since then. Because while she was busy creating chaos, I built peace. While she was busy lying, I built honesty into my future relationships. While she was stuck in the same toxic cycle, I broke free. And that's why I don't hate her. That's why I don't carry a grudge. Wishing her pain would only mean I'm still tied to her. But I'm not. I'm free. If anything, I wish her well. I hope she gets the help she needs. I hope one day she understands what love is supposed to be, not just manipulation dressed up as affection. But whether she does or not, it doesn't matter. Because I'm already gone. So if you're listening to this wondering what I do differently, the answer is nothing. Not a single thing. Because sometimes the best way to win is to walk away with your head high, your heart unbroken, and your future wide open. And the best part? To this day, she still has no idea I knew. Thank you so much for watching till the end. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to support the channel. It really means a lot. Wishing you all a great day, and I'll see you in the next video.